Welcome, team, to episode 9 of the Keep Going podcast, Athletes Shine a Light on Mental Health. I'm here with my co-host, Pat O'Malley. What's going on, Pat?
Luke, I'm blessed, man. Just was telling you guys in the prelude, jumped in the old cold tub today. So,
yeah.
I'm feeling recharged. A day of football, a day with great people, great friends. How about you, Luke?
Feeling chilled out, huh? Yeah, good.
Yeah, Gossett would be proud, bro. Gossett wasn't there. I don't know where he was at, but he was.
Oh my gosh! Hey, next time we'll get him. Next time we'll holler at him. Next time. I know he's going to do it anyway.
100%. That game, all his boys. It was great seeing everybody today. And Zach's coming on here Super Bowl Sunday. So if you're looking for more, mental health stuff and physical stuff, and he's got a great story to tell. So I'm excited for that. How about you, Luke? What's going on with you, bro?
Yeah, just been good. Chaperoned a winter formal last night for our upper school, and they were playing the 2000s bangers, the 2010 bangers. Had me out there wanting to cut a rug, but had to keep it professional, so.
I'm about to say, Luke, I could see you just out there busting a move, bro.
Oh, I wanted to so bad, but, had to keep an eye on the kids, make sure everybody was safe, make sure everybody was healthy. So, next time.
These years, I swear to God, I might have to go back to school. Like,
yeah,
these guys,
I know, right?
Girls just saved the world, I feel like.
I'll get you enrolled. Well, hey, man, we'll keep it moving here. This week's episode is going to be a great one. We got CNC on the pod. We'll shout her out here in a minute. But let's jump right in it, man. Weekly self-help segment, dude. What's been going on for you? How'd you help yourself this week?
Bro, I just want to make sure, and before we go into that one, we shout out the Stony Brook softball girls last week.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff. Thank you for their network. Thank you for plugging Instagram at the KG Podcast. Without you guys, we are not anything. And just a reminder, Luke, that we are not specialists, my man.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. We're not psychologists. We're not psychiatrists. Just a couple of ex-athletes trying to help out some current athletes, just trying to give a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of positivity to the world. So, shout out to Seawolves, dude. Oh, come on.
Oh, we love to see it, man. I still don't know what a Seawolf is, but they're going to have a great year.
No clue.
Awesome.
No clue.
Awesome.
I'm in on it, though.
Well, Luke, before we get our guest, Christie Nasypany-Cicero on here, CNC, tell me what worked this week, my man, mental health-wise for you.
Yoga, brother. Yoga. A little bit of everybody knows. Everybody knows. Yoga with Adrian on YouTube. I mean, just the GOAT. The GOAT.
So tell me about it. I got to know more. I'm not a big yoga.
She has to be the most popular yoga person on YouTube. She's got like tens of millions of views on most videos, but I did like a full body flow. So it was a lot of planking in there, a lot of, core stability and some tougher movements. But some that I, since I'd taken a little bit of time off of yoga that I was not ready, had me breathing out there pretty heavy. But it's one of those where you can do your nice tree pose and find your center and just breathe for a little bit. And it was a very cool and calming experience. It was great.
Look, that's inspiring, man. Make sure you put that in the show notes. I'm not the biggest yoga guy, but I'm always down to stuff. So appreciate you on that. And awesome. Well, I'm glad that definitely helped this week. I guess for me, I think it definitely starts off with how I set the tone this weekend. Friday, weather came in. It could have been an easy excuse to kind of do nothing and lay around, but I made sure I got some stuff ready for the upcoming week. Made sure that I attacked my non-negotiables, one of them being the cold tub, 7 a.m. today. So,
dude, hammer that. I'm super proud of you.
Thanks, bro. It was awesome to get with those guys. It was I felt recharged all day, truthfully. But getting with your people, sticking to your non-negotiables, that would have been my what helped this week for me. That's
fundamentals, baby. Fundamentals.
Yes, sir.
Gotta have them.
Further ado, Luke, I gotta let CNC in here. So, Christie Nasypany-Cicero, how are you, girl?
Guys, I am doing great. Even though the Bengals are losing right now, we chatted about it in the pregame, but I'm doing great.
CNC's got the TV on. She's like, yeah. So whenever I was in college,
I turned it off. I made sure to turn it off. Otherwise, you would have been seeing my eyes look up and down. And I'm like, can't do that. That's just rude.
No. The blurry zoom when she's looking over her shoulder. I've seen this before.
Yeah.
No.
I love it. I love the dedication.
We have to. Money's on the line.
Yeah. We got some action. We got some action going.
Yeah. Well, CNC's super excited to have you, girl. Obviously, once again, for the 9th straight episode or 8th straight episode, Luke has no idea who you are. So Luke,
No clue.
first impression of Run CNC.
Oh, CNC, dude. She's been killing it in the pregame. Obviously, anybody that knows Pat is good people, and this is no exception to that rule. So it's nice to meet you, and I'm glad to have you on here.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this podcast ever since Pat asked me to join you guys. But Luke, I've honestly been so excited to meet you finally.
Oh,
like
come
we're
on.
in that accountability partners chat, and it's so great to finally put like the name to the face and chat with you one-on-one essentially. So
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, we're
accountability partner, man. Shout them out. Shout them out, Pat.
Shout out AP's 32, and we're all about people, good vibes coming together on a Sunday. But speaking of that, it's going to be a great episode today. But what did you do this works? And what did you do this week, CNC, that helped your mental health?
This is going to sound odd because it's not the
We'll take it off the wall
I
answer.
feel. Yeah.
We'll take that.
But I went so far from my routine this week, and it was everything that I needed.
Nice.
Like I have my alarm set for 6:30, 6:45, Monday through Friday to get up, get going, get my workout in. But it just didn't feel right. Was I like awake before my alarm? I absolutely was. I didn't get out of bed. I took my time in the morning, spent quality time with the wife and pup, and I allowed myself to be okay with it. And again, I know I'm saying something that we don't usually like recommend, especially to athletes. It's always about routine and stuff, but I don't know, this week I needed it. And more importantly, I allowed myself to need it. So that's what I did. I cut off of my routine for the week.
There you go.
Luke, I absolutely love it. And I'm going to tell you why. For the first thing here, you didn't feel like you needed to do that. You replaced that routine with other things that for self-care that filled your cup, that allowed you to have a great week. And now, compare and contrast, you can bring some of those into that routine. I love it, Luke. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think there's a huge difference from breaking a routine because you're binge drinking on a Friday night and you can't function on Saturday, and a huge difference from, okay, I need 30 more minutes of sleep, or I just need to hang out a little bit in the morning, just be with myself. And like you said, once you have that routine established, then you can kind of start making tweaks. Everybody takes a vacation during the year. Everybody needs some time off. There's no exception when it comes to mental health and a routine like that.
Yeah.
No, completely agree. And CNC definitely carry those habits. I mean, the puppy time, the family time, the sleep, recovery days, and this is for our listeners, recovery days are just as important. I love that. Awesome stuff. Well, Christy, we're blessed to have you. And I say we go right into it. So, Luke, I'm going to tell you right now, I've only said this about a couple guests. CNC is sweet by the definition. Sweet. So, Christy, you end up playing a great college career. You play with some big-time players, professionals, national team members. You end up coaching at some high levels. When did this start? When did you realize, hey, I want to play hockey and I want to be involved in this game for a long time?
Yeah. This is going to sound like the most cliche athletic answer ever, but
I'll give it to us.
The truth. Literally ever since that I could walk, I was on skates. I was in the garage, those yellow with the 4 wheels back to back. So I knew from a very early age that hockey was my thing. Have to shout out my brothers. I did grow up with 2 older brothers. They definitely went on separate paths, and I had a special bond with both of them. But with my one brother, Joey, he was the one who was always involved in sports and played hockey growing up. And I think I was dragged to the ranks, but at some point it didn't become a drag. Like I was very excited to go to his practices and sit on the bench and play with the pucks or whatever I could do just to be around the ranks. So again, very, very typical athlete answer, but ask my parents, they couldn't get me out of the garage and get me off skates once I knew how to walk.
I love that. And Luke, I just try to, hold my buddies and my girlfriend's hands when I skate. It's kind of like unfamiliar territory. Are you much of a skater, Luke, or what?
Oh my God, dude. Whenever we were at the roller rink in college for, I don't know, student council was doing I wasn't on student council, but they were doing like an event or something. A bunch of athletes were there. And, we got some guys from Texas that were on the football team, and apparently skating's huge in Texas, or at least where these guys were from in their little area, and they were killing it out there. And I'm always one to start slow. I'm like, okay, I'm good now. I can pick up some speed. And I didn't hurt myself skating. I was coming out of the rink on a ramp and just boom, right on the butt. And I think I didn't practice for a week. It was like during spring ball. Like I think I couldn't practice for a week because I bruised my tailbone.
Lesson to be learned here. A lot of us across the country are going through some tough winters. Be careful out there, y'all. On the ice. Couldn't agree more. All right, so CNC, you're obviously a great athlete. You obviously were born to play the game of hockey, which is amazing. High school and college, your recruiting process, you end up playing at a pretty highly touted Division I. How did we get there? How did your recruiting process go?
Oh, that's actually a very fun question. How did I get there? I guess I'll start there and kind of build it up into what my recruiting process looked like. As I, said before, hockey, I was just so obsessed with it. Like, was on skates when I could walk, always went to my brother's practices. And then I just straight up told my parents, yeah, I'm playing hockey. They didn't really question it. They hated it at first, didn't question it though. They tried to get me into dance and karate and softball. And I'm like, no, I'm playing hockey.
This wasn't any Mighty Ducks stuff. Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
No. No Mighty Duck stuff. But yeah, it's like, honestly, like my entire childhood was revolved around hockey. I started roller hockey, moved to indoor roller hockey, moved to the ice, and I was able to try out. Obviously had to play with the boys because there was no girls teams growing up, at least in my area or at my age. So really like elementary school, middle school, and then going into high school, I went 2 years to a prep school because I'm like, I want my career to take off. I have really big dreams for myself, which plays a huge part of my mental health today, fortunately and unfortunately, which, I'm sure that we'll get into. But I literally just dedicated all of my time, all of my energy, all of my efforts to the sport of hockey and the game of hockey and just making sure I was the best. So then when it came time to get recruited, it was a pretty easy process for me. Looking back, I really wish that I enjoyed those moments. I didn't. And again, that's going into a lot of the mental health side of things. And that's probably a part of my process that I really regret is not taking in all of the phone calls, all of the emails, the home visits that I had with colleges. So I don't want to sound cocky, but the recruiting process essentially came to me. And then a fun fact is I actually committed my junior year of high school, which at that time for especially women's hockey was
unheard
it's like
of.
committing a grader now. Yeah, it was
Really?
super early. Yeah. I made the wrong decision. I picked a school because it was close to home, which is what I thought I wanted. And in reality, it was not at all. The coach, the culture, it was not good. My mom got sick, and then seeing people's true colors, I'm like, nope. I decommitted my senior year in the spring, like right before USA Hockey Nationals, the first time that I was ever able to play in nationals that my team made it. And luckily enough, Mercyhurst came calling and said, we actually lost a player and we have a scholarship and we have a spot available. And more importantly, they had the number 21 available.
Yeah.
That was the icing on the cake. Needed to wear 2-1.
Yeah, shout out
Gotta
to
have it.
2-1. Slam
Gotta
it.
have it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, without going into so much detail, even though I probably did already a little too much.
No, I love it.
That was kind of my process.
And I just see some common themes with a ton of other guests already. We're 9 episodes in. So older brothers, right? That's a ton for the strong women that we've had on this podcast, is that their older brothers have been pushing them along from a very young age. And driven by passion, right? You just seem so passionate about the sport, just like everybody else on here. And did it get to you a little bit? Were you in a rush where you kind of breezing through the moments a little too much, maybe, but you were passionate about it and you were enjoying the ride, So Pat, what do you got, man?
No, CNC, I'm fired up, girl. I think that's amazing to hear that, like Rich Jurgen quote again, you left no doubt in your preparation to play the game of hockey. And you were someone that you were so highly touted that you could sit back and just worry about your game because you earned it. There's a lot to be said about that. What I want to stay on, though, is the part where, and Adam brought this up, my brother, in one of our other episodes. If you haven't checked out the Adam O'Malley episode, it's fantastic. Touches on a lot of these points. CNC, you mentioned how you would have done things differently when it comes to outside of the rink, outside of hockey. Can you elaborate on things that now looking back at you would have changed? Our listeners will get a lot of value out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, this is where my personal story gets very interesting because you're absolutely right, Luke. I was so passionate about hockey. You could not take me off the ice. I wanted to do everything and anything. Like, I will spend 2 hours on homework, I'll get that done, but then I want to dedicate everything else to hockey, which I said it earlier is fortunate and unfortunate. And kind of alluding to your question, Pat, of things outside of the rink. It starts in my early years, to be honest with you. There's a reason why I was so passionate about hockey. It's because I was stupidly confident in myself. I loved who I was in hockey. Even to this day, like I'm so separated from the sport now, because I had to work on it a little bit, but I get juiced up talking about hockey. It's just like, I get right back into that mode of being a hockey bro. I love chatting with it, using the lingo. Like I just feel fired up from it. So I don't want to take my love for the game away, but it was also incredibly unhealthy, because there were definitely some struggles just growing up. And looking back, I wish that I had opportunities to explore or educate or just be open. I mentioned earlier in the podcast, right? Like, I was spending time with my wife and my puppy earlier, not to get like entangled into like who I am as a person, right? But it definitely affected me that I didn't want to open up. I didn't want to talk about it. I always knew I was different, but I was just like, but I am a different person inside of hockey. So let me focus on that person. And then when it came to being on the outside, it's just like, I can't deal with this. Like, I don't want this. Like, I don't want to question why I'm different or whatever the case may be.
Maybe covering up some stuff.
Yeah. So it was definitely an interesting balance. And looking back, I wish I had more of a balance because, people would say it's like, well, you really dedicated your life to your sport and that's why you were so successful. And I definitely agree. But I wish that I took more of an opportunity to focus on myself. Early years, especially high school and college, because then I think I would have struggled less as an adult than I do today. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Pat.
Oh, absolutely. Luke, I just love your strength and your vulnerability and how authentic this is.
Mm-hmm.
And how strong, I already mentioned strong. I'm going to say it again. For our listeners, for Luke and myself, that's amazing. Like, I commend you. I say thank you so much for talking about this because I know it's tough. Did it get easier once you became your real self and you got with the people that you knew you cared about and you could be that openly?
Yes and no, I should say. Yes, because it was a sense of, okay, I could do some digging and exploring and starting to be more confident in myself. And I think that's where probably a lot of mental health, no matter what your situation is in life, is the lack of confidence, the lack of love, the lack of self-care, right? And I don't want to just chop mental health up into those three things, but I feel very strongly that those play a gigantic role in mental health. So at one point, yes, it definitely did help me grow out of my shell and have more of self-reflection periods, if you will. But I say no to that because there was not a lot of self-care. I was able to say, okay, this is me, but then I didn't really focus on my demons. I never focused on why I struggled, or honestly to this day still struggle with things like anxiety and depression, right? So it all comes back to balance of, yeah, I feel great about it, but then I didn't do anything about it up until 5 years ago, honestly, which sucks, but hey, that's life.
Hey, first step's recognizing it, right? And just understanding what's going on, and that's not a single day process. So props to you for even recognizing it in the first place and just being able to take the next step, whether it was years later, whether it was a day later. Props to you for being able to take that next step, you know?
Wow.
Appreciate that.
I completely agree. And I think that brings me to my kind of where I'm trying to go with this. So you got to the highest of the highs in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Then you found the lowest of the lows outside of the game. Now, I'm going to butcher it, Luke. Don't let me do it.
Do it. Just butcher it.
I butcher it every week. We often find a person and we look at them and we praise them and applaud them for where they're at. But we don't really see what was that keep going moment. Like, why are you so successful now? Why are you such an inspiration now for thousands of athletes?
I've been sitting on this question because I knew it was coming, and
been thinking about it.
I really have been, and ever since you guys started this podcast, and I obviously noticed the trend that you guys were asking all of your guests, and even before I knew I was gonna come on and chat with you guys, I was like, I freaking love that question. Like, it makes me want to run through a wall, but then it also makes me like sit and think for like months on end.
Fire me up.
You know, it's definitely changed over time. When I hit college, my keep going moment was the girls. I wanted to work hard for the girls, watch my teammates just be so joyful and happy about success. I think that was like the first time that I genuinely understood relationships and how valuable they are. Going into college, you would always hear about it, right? And then my freshman year, I grasped onto it pretty quickly because I never had that. I was just so internally focused, and I was just like, I don't care about you. I have to go work out. I don't care about you. I have to go to prep school. Like, I didn't care about the relationships around me necessarily, except for my family. And I just focused on myself. And then when I went to college, I'm like, holy crap, this is an experience of a lifetime. Look at taking away playing with Olympians and things like that. The girls in that locker room, I still talk to them to this day. And even if I don't, we could always still pick up the phone if I'm in Toronto, and I can go hang out with one of my teammates or wherever I could be in the world. So that was my keep going moment in college, was I understood and valued relationships and the memories around me. But today I still do. I still value relationships and hold them very closely to my chest. But there's a quote that always keeps me going. And Pat, I shared this with you, I think earlier this week, was don't try to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. And when I first read that, I don't know how long ago it was, when I read that, I kind of just dropped. And I'm like, I've been doing life all wrong. Like, in my opinion, I was just like, I am living for and working hard for all the wrong things. Like, if I work hard, success will follow. But if I'm not a good person doing it, what does that do? Right. So
run that back.
100%.
Run that back.
All about the process. It's all about the process. CNC, hit them with it.
Oh my God. Preaching right now, Luke.
I'm not too long-winded with my answers, boys. If I
am, no. That's perfect.
No, that was I'm blown away. And I think we're at the point, I'll let Luke chime in too. You allowed yourself to know your worth and your value. And when you allowed yourself to do that, you unlocked these relationships and the love and everything that you've always been searching for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Amen to that.
And I think it's about the passion, right? That you went back with hockey before, and now it's placed in different areas of your life. But if you're passionate about something and people see that, instead of they just see that you want to be successful or you want to be in a position of authority just to be in that position, that's never going to cut it as a real reason to be doing something. So if you really focus on the process and the value of something, then that's really going to be what matters most to you.
Oh, Luke, I couldn't agree more. And when you love this, guys, and the value that you bring and the self-worth and the care and the love, it radiates to others and it just starts these trends. It's a domino effect. And that's a give and take. Some days you're not at your best. Some days they're not their best. And you don't have to have your A game every day, but knowing that you're going to be a good person. Oh, wow. That is fantastic. I'm loving that. I'm loving
100%,
that.
100%.
Yeah.
And for me,
I don't know
it
if you're
comes like
fired up or if it's your cold shower, Pat.
I can tell you, I started sweating, so it's definitely not the cold shower. Oh, wow. Luke, anything else to chime in on that? That was fantastic.
No, I think value is something I go back to about also with virtue, right? And like, what's the virtue of something? I think a lot of it about whenever you're having a disagreement with somebody, what's the actual virtue of being right in an argument instead of helping the other person just understand your viewpoint? Like, to me, that's the most important part, right? You don't need to be correct about everything. You just need to come into conversations with the understanding of, I'm not a perfect person, they're not a perfect person, but we're doing this because we love it, and let's figure it out,
Dude, I love that. I love that. It goes back to the quote too. I may not always be right, but there'll be love and gratitude in the attempt.
Yeah, 100%.
Always.
Love this. All right, let's keep going. So Christie, I'm going to tell you this, and I've mentioned you already, and I'm hyping you because you're that person. You're sweet, like I mentioned. You've helped hundreds and thousands of people, not only with your job currently with NCSA, but as a college coach and still helping out in programs and just being that light, someone that when we picked guests that are now booked till August, we wanted you on here. Anything that you're cooking up right now on your end that you want to tell the people about, or how can our listeners find you? Because you make my heart just melt right now. I'm loving this.
Yeah. How can people find me, I guess, is the first question. Call Patrick. Just kidding.
Oh, you got my number.
Hit Pat on the celly.
I think I have all of the social medias unless there's like a new one out there.
Yeah, I know, right?
So
You never know.
Tags,
you never
drop
know.
those tags.
Yeah, I mean, I have like a business TikTok for Tails and Ales. That's a little name drop in there for you guys.
There you go.
I don't know how to use TikTok though, so don't try to find me on there.
Me neither.
Instagram, Facebook, not really Twitter because it's for work, like actual work. Email, phone call, all that stuff. What I'm cooking up, Pat, outside of like random enterprises that I'm trying to start so that I could just be my own boss one day, from woodworking to opening up a dog bar.
When you're your own boss one day.
When I'm my own boss.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to make it, man.
Hit me with what a dog bar is.
I appreciate all the love that y'all are showing me right now, and this is going to carry me for a very long time. I promise you that.
Good. Energy.
I'm just trying to make it, even though you guys are saying that I'm radiating so much love, I don't feel that every day. Right. And that's why you guys have this podcast, is to chat about mental health and to share light on it and to bring people together. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be more vulnerable, just trying to be even more passionate and just keep on developing relationships, whether it's a 1-minute relationship or an 11-year relationship, just being open and vulnerable and honest. That's what I'm cooking up, Pat.
There you go.
CNC, we just love you and adore you. And thank you so much for shining this light and being strong for thousands of people that are going to be touched by this episode. Luke, before I send her off, anything to say to CNC?
CNC, dude, we appreciate you so much coming on here, and we're going to shoot you a little ad read here in a minute about the homegrown design and homegrown apparel. So we'll shout you out for that too. But hey, you always got a friend in us, and you're part of the family now.
Well, I love you guys, and I feel like, I could be on here for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. So maybe the three of us can get together and write a dang book or something. I don't know, but I appreciate you guys.
Hey, they'd listen to you. I don't know if they'd listen to me that long.
No. They're going to edit my part out for sure.
Yeah.
CNC, I'm going to be conscious of your time. I know there is football on. If you're going to tell your young
Go Bengals.
If you had to
Get
tell
on
you
that money.
one thing, what would you tell little CNC?
What would I tell little CNC? Ooh. You stumped me on this one, ma'am. And I'm sorry. I feel like I'm getting a little emotional.
Okay, it's okay.
But like a part of me wants to have like that cliche answer of, hey, it's gonna be okay. And just keep pushing through. Just love yourself, because that was lacking severely. I lacked so much self-love and self-respect and self-growth. I grew in my hockey area. Obviously you guys know that, but yeah, those are probably the three things that I would say is just love yourself, be confident in yourself, and keep pushing through.
Love it.
Let's just run that back. You are a blessing. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your evening. Thanks so much for coming on.
Appreciate you, CNC.
I love you guys. Thank you so much.
There to go. Oh, does that just hit you right in the heartstrings?
Dude, just killed it.
And now, give me that ad read, Luke.
Oh yeah. So CNC's over there with BNC. They're up. Are they in Chicago? They're
in Troy, New York, my buddy. They're
Troy,
in
New York. You know, they're close. They're somewhere up there. So they're in Troy, New York. They're small business owners, co-owners of Homegrown Design and Homegrown Apparel. Homegrown Design, they make tables, dining room tables as much as 10 feet long. God, you can fit a whole family on there. And then they also do small epoxy pours for coasters and things like that. So they do a wide variety of things. We'll put their socials down in the chat for this. And also Homegrown Apparel. They're hooking KG up with some swag that we're going to be sending out for some people. We may be doing some giveaways with it. So shout out to CNC and BNC for running the small business, which is not an easy thing to do. Okay, it keeps you going all day, and woodworking is not an easy thing to do. Their products are premium, and just give them a shout, man. Just give them a shout.
Luke, one and two. One, we found somewhere to get our significant others awesome gifts for Valentine's Day.
Yes, exactly.
I've done it for my mom. I've done it for my family members. They are awesome. Two, we finally found someone to trust us with the merchandise side. We have hoodies, we have shirts, we got the stickers already in. It's a fun time to keep going, my man.
Dude, that's huge. That's huge.
Huge. Hey, to the moon, my friend, to the moon.
That's right.
All right, let's keep it rolling. I know we are on a time crunch. What an awesome interview. But what I want to touch on is our social media shout out of the day. Coming out from Vancouver, out in the NHL hockey theme with our episode having Christie on. I want to touch a little bit about the Vancouver Canucks and Ethan Bear. Luke, you want to jump on this a little bit with me?
Yeah, so he unfortunately had a pup pass away, man, before a game, and he's kind of taking a little bit of flack for missing a game for over his animal dying. But at the same time, man, if he's not 100% ready to go, it's for the better of the team, and it's for the better of himself to take a day off and to get right in the head, you know?
Couldn't agree more. And I'm reading right off the interview. This was not a mental health disorder. There was no outlandish behavior. It was an everyday story that everyone can relate to. And you never truly know what someone's going through, and you never know what someone truly values. So if you're out there and you've lost a loved one or a puppy or anything, a job, anything, guys, it's okay not to be okay sometimes. And reach out to us, reach out to our support, your support group and people that care about you, because we understand that everyone's going through it. The second you understand that, life gets easier.
Yeah, 100%. Again, there's power and vulnerability, and then you're not the only person going through what you're going through. You
Ethan
never
Bear,
will be. You never are.
amen, Luke. And Ethan Bear, I love you, man. I think that's an amazing stand that you took, and hope you have a great rest of the season if you're ever listening.
Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of listening, Luke Wheat, we finally got you some questions.
I've been begging for it.
Luke Wheat segment. We finally got to it on episode 9. I'm going to get to these questions, Luke. So are you ready, man? You've been begging for these listener questions.
Well, that's the pressure, right? I've been begging for it. So now I got to have an answer whenever they ask me the question.
Well, I think we got you here. So I'm going to go ahead and read these questions off. This is from Aaron H. Shout out, Aaron H. Thank you so much for submitting questions. And in the future for our listeners, submit these questions. Luke's ready to go. We love you guys. We want to help.
100%.
So, Luke, first question. Shout out Aaron H. As a former athlete, what was something you struggled with or weren't prepared for when leaving athletics and transitioning in the real world post-college?
So I've been thinking about this one a little bit because it goes a little bit off of what I've said before, because I think sports are a great way to, one, build team developing skills, team leadership skills, all the above. But one thing I wasn't super prepared for was, I'm a teacher, so I run my classroom, and that's great. I'm in I lead people every day, but you're kind of one-on-one with your colleagues, and you're in your own little compartment. So going from a team environment all the time after school, always hanging out with the guys on the field and in the locker room, and then you go into your job and it's kind of just you in your room whenever you're teaching and lesson planning and grading papers and stuff. So that's something that I wasn't necessarily prepared for as a former athlete.
Got it. And Luke, as a follow-up question, appreciate your feedback. I know our listeners do too.
Yeah.
What did you do to combat that once you were done being a goalkeeper? What did you do? Like, what did you do to work out, get your self-care, some stuff that helped you?
Yeah. Dude, I take walks during the school day all the time. So our campus is an open campus at Webb School of Knoxville. It's over in the west side of Knoxville. And we have an international center, which is where I teach. And then there's an upper school, which is where like math, English, history, all the general education courses are. And I make sure that I don't just, buy Keurig pods, keep them in my room and get them from the kitchen and the international center. I make sure that I make myself walk up the stairs, go outside, and just stop by people in the rooms that don't have classes going on, just check in on them. So, I fight the being by yourself by just making myself get out there and talk to people.
Luke, I love that, man. There ain't nothing better than a good gratitude walk. And shout out my guy, Nick Clank. He's actually my original accountability partner.
Okay.
In APs, and we're a big fan of that gratitude walk. So shout out Nick Clank. Luke, great job with the questions. And I promise, guys, if you submit questions, we will get to them. Luke is awesome with this kind of stuff. So first and not last, Luke Wheat questions segment. Awesome stuff.
I appreciate it. It was fun. Thank you, Aaron H., for writing in. We appreciate you.
Aaron, we appreciate you. Thanks so much. And I know you're listening. So awesome. But before we wrap up, I want to touch a little bit about next week and some charity and some shout outs before. So next week, we actually have a professional chiropractor coming on. A good friend of mine, Marco, over at Total Life Chiropractor. His twin brother might be coming on. They're former D3 soccer athletes.
For the love of the game.
D3 for the love of the game. D3 in the house. Awesome. Excited to have Marco and hopefully some family on. But what I do want to shout out is Justin Gustafson, friend of mine, Maine South High School. He now teaches, did some coaching as well, played some ball, friend of the pod. He's doing a St. Baldrick's Cancer Foundation. Very similar how we did it with the Tripp family last week. We're going to throw that link in the show notes. You guys were fantastic donating to a great cause. St. Baldrick's, ending cancer. We love that. We're a big supporter of all that. So Justin Gustafson, hats off to you, man, being a former athlete and really impacting the youth. So thank you. We will throw that St. Baldrick's donation link into the show notes as well. Luke, thanks for doing that too.
Yeah, for sure, man. Just super pumped up for Justin, and hopefully they can raise a bunch of money and get this thing figured out, man. That's what it's all about.
No doubt.
My father was actually diagnosed with prostate cancer last year. So that's something that's close to me, and that's just, you know, anything that can help is awesome.
Luke, and I love you, bro, and I always got you.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Always, man. Well, before we wrap up tonight's episode, in the spirit of the exciting announcement about the merchandise, shout out CNC and BNC over at Homegrown Design, Homegrown Apparel. They will officially be the merchandise and apparel sponsor of the Keep Going podcast. Luke, gosh, we're blessed, man. That's the first thing. Second thing, I want to shout out everybody else that has gotten us to this point. We're coming up on 10 episodes. A lot of podcasts don't get past the first couple. Mm-hmm. So I need to shout out Christen Torres. Yeah. She did our digital editing stuff, those awesome logos. If you need logos for your side hustle, for anything that you're doing, hit up Christen. She's awesome. Luke, I know you got some good things to say about Christen.
Oh my gosh, dude. Christen and her guy, Ben Buell, dude. Ben Buell's an absolute entrepreneur, runs a power washing business, does a Trash Panda, which is a garbage pickup service as well in Knoxville, and he's a physical therapist. He does many things. Christen is in law school, kills it with these designs, man. We told her, okay, we want to do something. This is our name, KG Pod, Athletes Shine a Light on Mental Health. We don't really know what we want the logo to look like. Do what you can. Not even expecting something great, because I hadn't really seen a ton of her work before, just a couple pieces, and just blew us away, man. Off little information from our part. We did not give her a great guiding.
We didn't do
a great guide. So shout out to Christen, man. She makes it happen.
Christen is fantastic. Friend of the pod. We love you, Torres family in general. We already shouted out CNC and BNC with the merch. I do want to shout out, that fire intro that you guys hear every week now.
That's right. We've been getting compliments on that.
Oh my goodness. My messages don't stop about it. I had someone message me last week that they stopped listening for a couple of weeks, and that was the newest thing. And they're like, I'm fired up. I said,
gotta be on it. Gotta be on it.
It is. So the family, Chicago talent. We love a good Chicago talent story. The family, up and coming amateur DJ. Check out the work. We'll attach that in our show notes. It's in our bio as well. Shout out the family. I always say it's a mix of like the Indiana Jones stuff with some hype music. I'm fired up listening to the week every week.
Yeah, 100%.
So shout out the family. Shout out. And last but not least, shout out all of you guys. We're over 1,200 followers on Instagram. We are nothing without you guys. We set out to impact one person at a time. We love you guys. And me and Luke are super thankful.
Yeah, couldn't be more appreciative of everybody listening in and everybody followed on Insta with the kind, encouraging words. Thank you guys. Just thanks.
Luke, do me a favor. Keep going, baby.
Keep going.
Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Peace.
Beep, boop, beep, bop, boop.